You're tuned in to Brooklyn, USA, an audiovisual love letter sent from the heart of the city. On our weekly podcast, we share intimate, human, New York stories told by the people who live them, and report on the world as it changes around us in the voice of the people who are changing it. But this week, instead of our regularly scheduled audio salad, we're serving up a full TV dinner. A collection of stories of resistance and resilience, visions of the future, and scenes from the past. Poetic explorations, viable solutions, and creative meditations on where we're at and where we're headed. So sit back, relax, and get ready to enter another dimension. One not only of sight and sound, but of heart and of mind. And we'll be back on the mic and on the podcast next week, because the revolution will not be televised in Brooklyn, USA.
So, what are we gonna do? We're testing this out, so this is an experiment. Everyone's internet is absolute shit, according to Sophie Health. Now, I am going to go over here. Now, do you guys remember this? This is where we left off last time, doing a wonderful little reimagining of what the world would be if we had people, like leaders in place that we that are really radical, and it included like this little troll man that we put everywhere that's like smoking weed, which is really funny. And I realized I didn't color in Ruth, so I'm just gonna quickly color in Ruth, and then that'll be done, and you can buy that today. What's fun about the show is that you tell me what to draw. I put in some ideas, but I really act as a vessel for your ideas, pushing you to imagine further than you can, because having an imagination during this time is extremely viral. Is extremely vital. It's extremely vital to be imagining, be creative, be hopeful, imagine a world outside of what you know. And we are practicing that muscle here on Art is Easy, because they make art seem only for rich people, but it's actually not, because it's an amazing, wonderful manifestation tool. I mean, look at this. Just 2 weeks ago, we drew this, I think. We skipped last week. But in that matter of time, what's it looking like? World's looking closer to this now, isn't it? Crazy. Crazy. I'm telling you, art is easy.
I don't understand why we made the government if the government's trying to destroy us after we made them. Because the government's supposed to be working for us. Yes. And then we're working for the government also. So it doesn't make sense. Like, if a mad genius made this ginormous robot to destroy everything, but then the mad genius remembered that it would destroy him, then he would obviously have a self-destruct button. And we're just, right now, our protest, the riots, are just our self-destruct button. It's the majority and the minority. We're to group together to make a bigger majority. Then it would just be all the continents coming together again to make the biggest continent. The continent, which compared to the government, compared to the White House is like a tiny ant, and then our continent is like planet Earth.
As I hold my son in my arms, there is nothing strange about him. He is indeed the fruit of my womb, the extension of his father and me, growing, stretching, reaching to the skies. There is nothing strange about him. My name is John Henry. I'm an artist from Brooklyn, New York. Usually working in visual art, typically photography. The project Stranger Fruit began in 2014 and began as a response to the murders of African American men due to police violence.
More than 200 people have been arrested in a day of protest over the acquittal of 3 police officers and the killing of Sean Bell.
The morning of the verdict, those images from the newspaper stayed with me forever.
The 23-year-old Bell died in a hail of 50 police bullets the morning of what would have been his wedding day in November of 2006.
Later that year in October, my good friend was getting married and I was one of the groomsmen, and at the bachelor party, that's all I could think of was what if this was happening to him? What if this was happening to us? 2014 was when it actually all came together. Stranger Fruit comes off of the Billie Holiday song Strange Fruit, but it was really the Nina Simone song that I connected with more. Strange Fruit is, as they describe, southern bodies hanging from the poplar tree in the antebellum South, basically speaking to lynchings. With Stranger Fruit, people aren't getting lynched anymore, but they're literally getting picked off the street. Lynching was such a common thing, and now it's like these shootings have become commonplace, where we've almost become numb to it. Every image has its own story. It's kind of just right on a street corner in New Jersey in front of closed down cleaners. Ebony in the middle with her pink shirt that says Awake on it, holding up her son, flanked by her 2 younger sons on each side, one holding his head, the other one supporting his legs, all of them staring into camera. One of the things I use in the photo is the gaze, the mother looking into the viewer. Makes it a lot harder to look away. For a long time while I was working on the project, something wasn't right. There was still another piece that was missing to make it complete. While I was in Chicago, Nefertiti from Parkchester, New York, she had reposted the image that we made the previous year on Facebook, and she had written this amazing poem. As I hold my son in my arms, there is nothing strange about him. The second I saw the poem, it was like, I got hit with a bullet. There is nothing strange about it. It just stopped me dead in my tracks, and that instant I knew this was the final chapter of the piece. It was the text from the mothers. There is nothing strange about him. He is my son, he is my soul, and he is beautiful. There are a couple more locations that I have to photograph in before I can really say it's finished. In particular, be in Minneapolis this winter. I just have, these images burned in my head of the black bodies in the snow. But also Minneapolis, St. Paul is the home of Target. So just thinking of the possibilities with the red bullseye, Texas, Nebraska, and maybe, like a handful of other locations, but because, I could shoot Stranger Fruit forever, but trust me, I do not want to. What does justice look like? I really don't know. Just thinking of these crimes, there is no justice. Even if you lock the police officer up for life, that's not bringing somebody's son back. That's not bringing someone's kid back. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what justice is in these terms. It's supposed to be blind, supposed to be equal, but the track record for justice isn't that great. Peace. My name is John Henry, and I'm an artist from Queens, New York. Stranger Fruit is an ongoing project that began in 2014 in response to the murders of African American men due to police violence. I've been photographing mothers and sons, recreating the motif of the Pieta, just showing this, idea of sorrow and grief and loss, but also hope that the community has to live with on a daily basis. The mothers in the project have not lost their sons, but they understand the reality that this could happen to them if this issue is not properly addressed. And, obviously now in 2020, it really has come back to the forefront with the recent murders of Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, Sean Reed, and of course George Floyd. It's crazy that, obviously in 2020 we still have to have this conversation, but we do have to have this conversation, and we have to, finally have an honest sit down and try to get some type of acknowledgement and get something done. We cannot wait any longer. 2014 is when the project began, but as you'll hear in the interview, it really began with the Sean Bell trial in 2006 to 2008. These murders continue to happen. We continue to see the footage over and over again, and it's traumatic having to relive these moments. And still, here we are, 2020, still talking about it. And again, it's not just men, even though I'm speaking about, mother and son, a specific relationship. We're talking about Black trans lives. We're talking about Black women. Everyone is really involved in this, and we have to, fight for everyone's rights, and we have to really figure out, how can we make this stop? How can we get to a point where there's some type of acknowledgement and we can get some type of change that is lasting? Again, I'm John Henry, and I'm from Queens, New York. Thank you.
Good morning, evening, friend. Here's your friendly yarn.
We're going to start with a very brave boy, Nicholas Wihanku.
In New York University, the Big Apple.
Well, that is mighty special. You'll see them everywhere.
Will arrive shortly.
まもなく5番線に各駅停車中野行きが参ります。
Please don't say love over it.
Oh, and it gets started. Well, hello everyone. My name is Jabari, and this is the art gallery, y'all. Let's get spicy.
And you have a nice bottle? To the name, so the original behind the eraser.
Kamu ang lilit, di ba? Malilit yung mga kasi ganyan din ang ginagawa.
And that's what makes them special ones.
Yeah, I can feel that heat. Peace, everybody. My name is James Pop, P.O.P. Gaskins with the S. I'm a TV producer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, ambassador to the United Nations, also an activist, and you name it, that's what I am, that's who I am. Right now, we're in Brooklyn, East New York, at my home. This is my house. I haven't had time to get it fixed up, but we don't never have time because the people come first. When people need something, we're supposed to give it to them. They need suggestion, advice. This is what we're supposed to be as a human. Like I said, when I was coming up, people who tried to bully me, I let nobody bully me. Back in the days, they had moonshine and homebrew. And a lot of the young people, they would go around, they would get the homebrew and moonshine, and they would get the ganja. And I never took anything. They couldn't make me take anything. They couldn't hold me down and put it in my mouth. I came up a march with Martin Luther King one day. We were marching for the voting rights. And when I left the march, I went home to check on my sisters and brothers. And these 4 white guys was on the back of a truck, pickup truck. They had shotguns and stuff, just like the ones that's down on the island, where I come from, Brunswick, Georgia. But anyway, I was walking, because that time we used to do thumbing and hitchhiking. And I was just walking, just got to march, and these guys was on the truck, and they were like, KKK, KKK, right? And I looked, and I started running. And so when I started running, they started shooting. But I said, wait a minute, if I'm gonna die fighting. But by that time, they shot me in my side, so I played dead. I pretended like I was dead. They came to finish me off, but I was a bodybuilder and I was a boxer, so I was very strong. I was built better than Arnold Schwarzenegger. We used to pick up cars. So when they came to attack me, I knocked the gun out the hand and I knocked them down. But I just took off running. I could have shot them, but I didn't think about all that. I was thinking about getting away. Bullets don't hurt like people think they do. It's like a little sting. When I got shot, like a little sting. With all the firecrackers going on, I hope that's not interrupting what we are talking about or what our intentions are. That don't make sense. Okay, y'all may not want to hear this, but listen carefully. The fact and solution of all this chaos that's going on, people is human, not human beings. As human, need to, supposed to, and should come together as human. Why should it be jealousy and hatred amongst any different races of another race? Wherein we all live in the same community together. We're living in the same community, in the same neighborhoods together. And like, for example, when they shot me, if I was really nasty or whatever, I could have killed them when I took their guns from them. So those are things that I think about. These things I know that people don't have to be followers, be leaders. And those are facts. People have respect. Know that love is amongst everyone. Listen, y'all, I'm gonna say this, listen. If a cat come up with you and rub you by the leg and stuff, that cat is looking for love. If a dog come up and lick your face, that's looking for love. You go to the schools and different things. You go to the college, you see all these mixed races. They ain't thinking about racism. They ain't thinking about jealousy and hatred. They're getting friends and things like that. They're dating, they're not dating. That's what they're doing. They're tired of all this stuff that happened back in the days. Stand up and be a leader. Don't be a follower. My family from Wu-Tang Clan, before they became famous, I would take them around and say, this is my son, this is my nephew. But then they would say, oh, here come Pop, here come Pop, here come your Pop, here come your Pop. So they named me Pop. Old Dirty, y'all heard Old Dirty Bastard, that's my nephew. Voodoo Monk, those are my nephews from Wu-Tang Clan. So I gave them a house before they became famous. And so they always would come to my house and stuff because I had, all these instruments. They would come, they play this and that. And so they're the one who gave me the name Pop. That's how. And so now the whole world know me as Pop. I got one or two call me James, but the whole world know me as Pop.
Was I always an artist? I think so. I was always creating. For a long time I was creating. Sometimes I felt like maybe I needed to do something else. Only because when I was doing creative things, I was like, okay, well now I need to find a way to pay these bills. I was always interrupted and I would jump back because I used to design. And I would get put on my designer hat and I would just do that and I was going back and forth and I wasn't recently more, and put an importance on focusing only on that. I always knew I could create and you can draw well and I had a feeling of inspiration a lot because there was a lot of times where I felt like I even held myself back. And in the end, you kind of had to really make it a point to push that aside and pursue what you have to do. And this is what I felt like there was a switch. It hasn't even been that long, I would say 5-6 years, where I was just like, this is what it has to be. I was always an artist, but I recently gave myself true permission to be actually an artist. So when exactly I felt that I was an artist? Always. When I actually was an artist is when I gave myself permission to be. My name is Tanda Francis. I'm an artist. I'm doing these large African heads right now. I'm a sculptor primarily. My media for these public pieces, concrete. It is important for me to create because, the creation is already there. I'm just sort of picking it up and letting it flow out because ideas, inspirations, they're there. And instead of just sitting on it, that could be a little bit disturbing the flow. So I just get out there, work on it. process usually for these public pieces is the idea is there, and I like sketch out what I want, how I want the pieces to be seen 360 all the way around. So I create a little tiny model, which is about 10, 12 inches. You know, look at the piece in the light, see how it would work, and see how it would exist in the actual site that I'm actually going to install. I take the models out to the site and actually kind of work out little aspects of the construction or whatever. Then I eventually build a larger model and take all the measurements and figure out how I'm going to build it in a large. So far with these larger pieces, I kind of have to do that to work out the amount of materials I would need to finish the actual piece. Basically, from little to large. This is a large final model. Underneath that plaster is the clay that I modeled. Life-size clay model. And then I cover it with the material to take an impression of a negative impression, and then I fill that with concrete. So that filled concrete is the final piece, one of them. I have to do that 3 times to get the final piece. I have to also build in like structure, so that it can survive impact. So there's gonna be rebar embedded into it and your steel axis and things like that. So far every year I make my work and also at this scale. That in itself is just great. It's a blessing to be able to make my work. And it takes a lot to make something, like a lot of parts, a lot of steps, and to actually get that to happen, it's just, there's a lot to observe while doing it so that the next time it could be even that much more smooth.
So we're at Fort Greene Park. We're installing Adorn Me in the rain. This is the challenge that we're having right now. There's a few pieces that need to connect together to actually have the piece erected, but at the same time, the rain is causing a little bit of a stop and go. This is really great to see the piece up to where it is right now. There's one more head that needs to be installed. It's kind of exciting to see it this process. It's always a little bit of something interesting that happens. This is the fun part too. It's not permanent. I think we're excited to see the end of this process. It's been a long trip. I'm trying not to say it's a journey, but it's been a journey. And then I did sketches, did a small model, did a larger model, and figured out where exactly in the park I wanted it. And this is where it landed. And it's almost there, look.
My name is and I am a 7-year-old. I'm in 2nd grade, and that when I grow up, I wanted to be a police officer to change the world and stop how it is. I also wanted to be a president. And I wanted to change the world because look how it is. We have to stop the world how it is to change the coronavirus. I also wanted to be a principal of a school to make the world a better place, and also to make the school a better place so we do not have to dry our hands like this.
I heard a story from someone yesterday. Something happened to their family members, right? Like a natural health issue. And when they called 911, instead of the ambulance pulling up, the cops pulled up first, asking what's the problem. That right there is part of the problem. Like, I don't need cops. I don't need somebody with a gun and a badge asking me, calm down, sir, are you okay? What's going on? The cops need to stop showing up when they don't need to be there and stop inciting all this violence and then try to put it on us like we the ones that start. And no, they start with us, and then when we retaliate, they get scared. Oh, black people are getting upset. Yeah, we getting upset, homie. We mad. We been mad.
I feel like cops always try to be the hero like too often, you know. I've been arrested before and it was just like horrible. Like they put the cuffs on too tight just to like they be ODing, like acting like you gonna freaking resist or anything. And then like the cop, when he was like, "Oh, you're under arrest," like I put my hands behind my back. He gonna say, "You used to this. What you want me to do?" Like cops think you liars, like cause you know in there they judge you based off being in there, like you know, and it could be for a million reasons. So I just feel like you know they mistreat you, and then you from that mistreatment is just like you gonna have some type of PTSD when you get out. You're so used to it, and your brain adjusts to that type of environment, those type of things. And then soon enough, going through it for years, that becomes your lifestyle.
What are some steps you think people should take to prevent these things from happening to us again?
I feel like some steps a person should take is just make sure that first you're not a part of the problem. Like a lot of people, they try to fix a problem, but then they're a part of it. So I feel like just make sure that you're not fueling the problem and try to be like the changer.
I think police accountability. How many other jobs could you have a track record of violence, a track record of breaking the law, and still keep that job?
I think that's definitely a good point, Heather, for the simple fact of like when criminals come out of jail, things like that, they make it extremely hard for them to find employment, to find any type of job.
And here we go, we have cops killing people and nobody's getting punished. They're keeping jobs. If anything, in a couple years, they're most likely probably going to get promoted.
And all the stuff that you heard and you know what's going on in the world right now, what do you think we could do to prevent that?
There's a lot of things we can do. I think one of the things is starting with this conversation. People really need to hear these stories. People really need to know how young people have been impacted and people will continue to be impacted. I mean, we really need to organize for real. Like when you think back about people who was at the center of movements, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and you know others, they were very young. They were young.
Yeah, that's a fact. It starts with us. We gotta get together. Like we're doing something now, but we gotta do more. Like the chokehold has been banned in New York for those who don't know. It's also illegal in Minneapolis. We're trying to get them to repeal the 50A. We all know what's going on. But it starts with you, bro. You want your community changed, and get up, go outside, change your community.
I think what a lot of you guys are saying is kind of like thinking about what is the difference between reforming a system and abolishing a system. When Eric Garner was choked out, the chokehold was repealed, but they used it anyway. That's why like a lot of people are saying we need to be taking away some of their power, taking away funding, not letting them have all this military equipment, because as long as that is true, will they listen to what the laws are?
Not losing sight that the police is definitely one part of the problem. Let us not stop just at them, because there are things in place and people in place that allow for them to get away with a lot of stuff as well.
What steps can you take to help solve this issue?
What I can do is what I've been doing, going out and talking to the youth in my community. For good couple thousand people get together and start doing something, voices are going to be heard, as you can see.
Yeah, I think about like a lot of the civil rights movements, like Ella Baker, who never gets enough credit, who organized all those sit-ins and boycotts and marches. It was her going door to door, talking to people, exactly like you're talking about.
I'm going to use that word again, organize, because there are people who are going to make decisions about how it should be for students and for youth and for other people without really considering what your thoughts are and what your concerns are.
For me, it's really been more about like watching where my dollar goes, making sure I keep my friends and family accountable as well, because it's not just me, it's also like the people that I surround myself with. I felt like being out in the streets and protesting was what I was called to do and what I wanted to do and how I would feel like I was getting my voice heard. And that's what I did. And that's what I'm continuing to do.
they steady here trying. Yeah, I got my hand on my forehead, yeah, I'm sighing. Oh, believe me, we wish we could be somewhere smiling. Wish we could fly away, fly away, fly away. Have you heard the whispers from the other side? From the other side? Did you know that just the sound of your spirit guides, of your spirit guides? Have you heard the whispers from the other side, from the other side? Did you know that just the sound of your spirit guides? Yes, your spirit flies. Oh, my people, they steady here trying. Yeah, my back hurt, my neck hurts from all of the lying. Oh, believe me, I wish I could be somewhere smiling. Wish I could fly away, 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 fly away.
What's up, everybody? My name is Najee Omar, and I have the pleasure of being the artist in residence with Brooklyn's first ever Intergenerational Community Arts Council. The Intergenerational Community Arts Council is comprised of 15 residents from Atlantic Terminal, Farragut, Ingersoll, and other NYCHA complexes that represent the downtown Brooklyn, Fort Greene area. And for the past 2 years now, the council has been meeting monthly to investigate what it looks like to build community and create opportunities for arts and culture right here in our neighborhoods. What you are about to witness is our poetic response to the pandemic and uprisings that are happening right outside our windows. An opportunity for us to check in with our community, with ourselves, and with you. So without further ado, how's that for a check-in?
I'm feeling like now more than ever, we're being forced to show what we preach.
I'm nervous and emotional and unsure. When will we go back to normal?
How am I feeling? I'm feeling a little melancholy right now, a little sad, a little concerned about the nation, about my neighborhood, about my state.
I'm my own rival. A lot of it right now is all about survival. I'm hoping I can keep a roof over my head and food on the plate. There's a lot of prospects laid out on the table. I hope I'm not too late.
Trying to get my love life together, I'm trying to think about that,
And the one thing that has happened to me every day since COVID is I check in with my neighbor. And I thought I was helping him, but I have found that he completely motivates and inspires me. And we help each other on a daily basis. We look out for each other like good neighbors do.
Planting as well. Planting some bell peppers right now and some succulent plants, which is cool. I've never planted succulents, so I'm just seeing where this goes.
Have a glass of wine, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, or Chenin Blanc. I make a lot of pasta. I made an apple pie for the first time and it came out delicious. I shared it with my neighbor.
One thing I do every day is walk. I go for a walk in the morning with my dogs, Lady and Lola, and sometimes we go to the park and sometimes we just walk down the street and we try to get some fresh air and try to radiate some happiness to people I'm passing who are on their way to work.
We watch all of them protesting It's worthwhile.
Some advice I received just today was to focus on myself and what I wanted to accomplish and not burn myself out trying to help others.
Do not let the insecurities of others define who you are.
I'm worthy of patient things. I'm worthy of taking caution towards bringing certain things in my life. So that's something that I've just generalized towards a lot of things that I've been dealing with and going through.
Somebody told me, you don't need a mask. I'm like, yeah, all right. So yeah, I did not listen to that.
I'm looking forward to meditating and talking with God, Jesus Christ.
I just want to raise my son and earn some honest funds. I work out, I blend my fruit malt shakes, and pray.
Any meal I have, I'm grateful for. I thank God for the food that's on my table. And I look forward to breaking bread with all of my friends. I want to have Thanksgiving meals like every month with people just to, you know, just to listen to them talk. And if they eat with their mouths full, I'm just going to look at them and smile.
And the 3 books that I'm currently reading are...
The first one is a book called The Purpose and Power of Love Marriage by Miles Monroe.
Dimensions of the Mind, which is a reread, a book I read in 1980, around 1981, which is probably one of the greatest books I ever read.
A lot of stuff online, a lot of theater online. I saw King Lear with James Earl Jones and this amazing cast.
I'm not reading. I really can't concentrate.
This is ushering in a golden age of the arts, and hopefully, we'll have the political climate to go along with it.
And the one thing that I am not accepting or that I'm rejecting is negativity. Negativity in the world.
I am embracing personal and professional growth in every area.
I am embracing Black people right now. I'm embracing just the narratives of being Black and how beautiful those like different narratives are, and that we have so many stories and they're all Black.
And I'm not accepting of all the information that's been given to the Black community as far as why we were concentrated during the pandemic.
And yes, I did take part in the protests and supporting the protesters and, the riots and everything that happened. I think it needed to happen so people could know how real it was.
I really like Charlie Parker and Dizzy. They play a couple of things together. I have a CD with all the jazz legends on it. The name of the CD is Out of Nowhere.
People need to understand that, send in the creatives when you want to be comforted,
I am accepting a new reality that I am in the midst of creating, and that my vision is wonderful and life will never be normal again, but it will definitely be better.
So, words of encouragement.
The advice I would give anyone else in the world is don't let the world beat you down, because there are spirits in this world whose job is to do that. And there's a reason why you're here. You wouldn't be here. So please hold on to your dreams, your gifts, your life.
Think about how we can all change, be positive, be kind and peaceful. We must embrace the present and look forward to the future.
Invest in yourself in any small or big way, and that you're worthy of investing into.
Do not let your present determine how far you can go in the future.
Thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking in.
Now, how's that?
How's that?
How's that?
How's that?
How's that?
How's that for a check-in?
Let me know how your week went. What was your week like? Did you do any cool actions? Were you completely depressed? What have you been doing to stay happy and stay grounded? So let me know. I'll put it up. And then while you do that, I'll be shading the under breast and the abs and the thigh of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's hot body. Just gonna put it up here. What? What's your week been like? So here's a question. So this is what you can think about while I'm finishing up. Ruth Bader Gins, baby. And please say hello in the chat. Hello. We've got Kalama. Hello. Saying hi, guys. Nice. I'm glad you're back, Chanel. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm sorry I can't do this every day. I think I get so tired. My week has been great. Lots of organizing, and I'm adopting a cat tomorrow. Oh my God, so cute. Yes, Chanel. That's awesome. What have you been organizing? That's a great question. Whoops. Okay, so here we go. Haven't done this in a while. I got kind of burned out. Just realizing I don't know if you guys have felt the burnout, but holding everything that's happening right now, it's so hard, and I feel like we have to really protect ourselves from the burnout, or else we won't be able to fight. But I'm so excited to see everyone fighting, and it's really, really great and hopeful.
My name is Trump is a bully. Trump is stupid.
Yeah! Trump is stupid! Trump is stupid! Trump is stupid! Trump is stupid!
And his breath smells like hard.
Get right down to it. Keep going.
And if he was here bullying me, I would put worms in his mouth. Black Lives Matter!
I can't feel the ground. What is the meaning? I can't see the ground. I can't see the sky. I can't touch the sky. I can't feel the breeze. Can you feel the ground? I'm all alone. I'm all alone. I don't know where I am. I'm all alone. Wake up. Wake up.
All right.
Pastika,
Mastica, mastica, mastica. Eso ya está.
Find warmth in traces of you, stuck in this trance. 'Cause you are so damn beautiful, you are. You make mountains move inside my heart. You are so damn beautiful, you are. Set my soul on fire, I'm a burning star.
Can y'all bring another slice of cheese?
Say
Yeah, I think I found that like however I'm holding myself is going to be reflecting in who's holding me. So I think at first like there were certain people that held me very well in the moment, but then I realized it kind of like wasn't enough in a way. And that actually came a lot with like changing my environment of where I lived and like understanding my queerness and understanding like my gender fluidness and just all of those things really opened me up into understanding that I actually like my spirit and my soul like needed more in terms of feeling held and like feeling supported. My first like really big experience with really looking at my body also came with somebody who was willing to hold me even though I didn't understand how to hold them, which I think also really opened me up. Like my first really close trans friend like really showed me a lot about how I wasn't properly even holding myself because I didn't know how to hold them. And I feel like the fact that they love me enough to really like continue to hold me through that experience and like show me what they were going through, like it basically just opened me up completely. And I was like, oh, I'm actually not just one thing, you know, I'm not like this binary, I'm all of the things that I need to be in the moment. And yeah, once that happened about 4 or 5 years ago, shout out Nasli RB, Nasli Saif, prop. Once they opened me up in that way, I was able to really just surround myself with more people who knew how to hold themselves, and that emphasizes me learning how to hold myself. And I'm still learning, of course, how to hold myself, but I feel like the last 4 or 5 years was really when I actually started that journey of finding reflections in that way.
I'll do anything, I'll give you all of me. I'll do anything for the freedom to just be.
So something that I feel like I've learned a lot in the past like 5 or 6 years is like real community is when you find people that are going to love you through your growth point.
You are so damn beautiful, you are. Set my soul.
Yeah, I really pray that my work and the spaces I contribute to creating continues to just like connect the diaspora in terms of like community and safe space, because there's so many different people fighting for the same thing in terms of creating safe space, and that's something I'm really passionate about. Yeah. No, I just finished my sentence. It was perfect. You just came in with the fruit abundance.
Yeah.
This is iconic.
I love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. I want to hear you talk about this. Because I would like to just hear you talk about this.
What's
good?
Pressure.
You were saying, so you also have picked up on the fact that we are replicas of our ancestors.
Mhm.
Like we physically, like we're representing right now, like we all fucking look different. And we all are representing our lineages. And so what I'm thinking is that if we're physically embodying a repetition, that means we're spiritually embodying a repetition, and mentally and emotionally, so we're like in the same cycles as them, you know? So we have to work through the shit that they were working through. That's what I think. But I want to know what you think about that.
So it's like accepting that.
Please eat breakfast.
Accepting that, you know, I don't know, because I feel like in conversations about like ancestors and stuff, or ancestral anything, it's, of course you have to like acknowledge the power you come from, but also
it is also more powerful to acknowledge that there's power and then there's also negativity that we come from as well. If I have evil shit in my ancestry, you know, I'm gonna take that and apply it into a way that I can flip it into
something that could like benefit you.
Yeah.
Like a
Or
karmic,
heal.
or something that
Like
like a
some
karmic
trend shit.
relationship.
It's some trend shit. It's literally trend, like alchemy.
It's alchemy, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Queer
intimacy.
Queer intimacy, they're all just chilling.
That's what happens. We create shit when we're together.
Mm-hmm. And I told you, I was like, I don't think our work should be individual anymore. I don't think our work should be just us. Like, it changes when we're all together, when we look at our work together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that's when it's like, oh shit, like, is this working or is it not working? Like, your work is so powerful, Chris. And you too. Thank you.
Yeah.
To see between astral planes, now you plead to be plain, a bystander of bygone standards. They watch you waste away, waste away, waste away. No, no, no. You don't love me, and I know now.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast. Straight the women's gone.
I'm Martinez. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. I'm Martinez. And you about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Cause you are entertaining me for nothing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Cause you are entertaining me for nothing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your
Weekend weather with Griffin. Weekend weather with Griffin. Hey everyone, it's Junior Meteorologist Griff City talking about the weekend weather. Your city, Brooklyn, USA. Friday, high 84, low 69. Type of weather will be cloudy that day. Saturday, high 87, low 74. It will be sunny. Sunday, high 84, low 71. It will be cloudy. Weekly fun fact. Did you know that if you lift a kangaroo's tail off the ground, it can't hop? Thank you for listening, Brooklyn! And have a good weekend.
I am recording this for the credits. Have you been reading about the fireworks conspiracy theories?
No, what's the latest? Conspiracy. Yeah.
They're happening apparently all over the country, which is something I didn't know. And so now there are people who are broadening out their theory that the NYPD is flooding the streets with fireworks to like the FBI is doing it, and it's like counterintelligence programming.
Can you say that again?
That there's like one of the conspiracy theories is that this is a like COINTELPRO psyop where they're just trying to like, you know, sleep deprive people and create chaos and like also condition people.
But COINTEL?
Like the spy wing of the FBI basically.
To make everybody in the country sleep deprived.
To make, yeah, and like there are all these videos on Twitter just that like it's coming from the police department.
Yeah.
If the cops are like doing it, they're just being apathetic about it to like prove that we need them. It's also like a funny part of the theory.
Yeah.
Has it been in the middle of the night for you guys? Yes. This is the new thing, which is really
4:30 in the morning.
Where I live, it's from like 6 p.m. to as late as 4:45 in the morning.
It was just recent for me that 1:30 to 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you'll be getting the 4:45 next week.
That's just really too far. Like, I think like before midnight, it's like, okay, it's summer, we're all excited.
Yeah.
But like freaking 2 in the morning, just like being awoken to that. How can you have that disregard for someone?
Who started this?
The Citizen app that I'm a part of is constantly sending me notifications for gunshots around my house. And then everyone is like, it's fireworks.
I love like everyone. I think it's funny that everyone in the country is in on like.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Felt like such a local problem, and it's really just crazy. I love it. What else happened this weekend?